Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for next week, 10 days. For today's second video, day 10 will take us to the 16th of February, and we'll be able to extend that beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. They run around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS-V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks, and that gets us into early March. I shall get on that for you in a moment. Just going to bring you an update at the start of the video with all of the latest sudden stratospheric warming developments, and more about that in a second. Just say about the first video, say was the 6 AM upload. And we're going to be live streaming at 8 PM this evening. Live streams are back. So, we're doing ensembles watch. Have a look at some long range data in the live stream as well. And that will be coming up from 8 PM. It can give us a sub, pretty good sub. You need to put on around 9 subscribers now, 9-10 subscribers to get ourselves to 15.5k, so we're very, very close to 15.5k now. Please give us a sub, tell friends and family to subscribe as well, and we thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, going to start off with situation in the stratosphere at 10 HPA over the North Pole. This will be increasingly, the focus in the next week, because I think we could well be having a sudden stratospheric warming next week. More about that in a second. But currently, the temperature at 10 HPA over the North Pole is around average now. Has dropped from around minus 30, where it went to a few days ago. We have the minor warming of the stratosphere. We're now reaching parity with the grey line with the long-term trend. If we go a little bit lower down to 30 HPA, closer to the troposphere, there we've actually got a bit colder than average again. Temperatures close to minus 75. Well, let's have a look at today's latest 2 GFS runs. So start off with midnight run. The blue curves, the stratospheric polar vortex, they're trying to push back to its rightful place over the top of the North Pole. Never really gets back to its correct position. So the displacement event goes on, really. And then as we get towards around this time next week, we find that we get a significant warming of the stratosphere begin to take place over Siberia. That's the 14th of February. Major warming starting to take place there over Siberia. That develops further in the extended range and pushes in towards the North Pole as well. The polar vortex starts getting displaced over towards North America and Canada. Interestingly, because we can't maintain those very high temperatures for very long at 10 HPA, so they start to come down as you get around the 18th, 19th of February. But clearly a major warming has taken place there. And we get to 22nd of February. There's no sign of the stratospheric polar vortex re-emerging there over the North Pole. So whilst temperatures reduce, still significantly above average. That is enough to send the zonal wind into reverse on the GFS midnight run. Does have a reversal of zonal winds while that warming is taking place at 60 degrees north, and so that will be defined as a sudden stratospheric warming. If we have a look at the GFS 6 run, again we can see that over the next few days the displacement event of the stratospheric polar vortex continues there with both blue curves over northern Europe. And then in around a week's time, that's when the warming begins to gather pace, over Siberia initially, and then moving on into towards the North Pole itself. Very significant warming of the stratosphere taking place there. The stratospheric polar vortex, the blue curves, they get virtually eliminated by the time we get into the 3rd week of February. Again, that is enough to send the zonal wind into reverse on the GFS 6Z operational run. This is from the weather outlook. This is showing the GFS ensembles, how many of them are sending zonal winds into reverse with this warming of the stratosphere around a week's time. So this 0 line is the all-important line. Any of the coloured lines speculative that are underneath that 0 line are sending zonal winds into reverse. They're reversing the zonal wind. You can see most of them are doing that between around the 17th and the 19th of February. Most of those ensemble members are sending zonal wind into reverse. There are still a few up here that keep the zonal wind very much weakened, of course, but just about keep the zonal wind positive. There's only a handful that are doing that. Most of the GFS ensemble members are going for reversal of zonal means on the midnight GFS ensemble suite. Anyway, the purple line here is the ensemble mean, and that does go just under, the zero line. So even the ensemble mean go for a reversal as zonal wind. The operational run is this big green line just here, and that reaches near record-breaking reversal actually at 10 HPA. Going down almost to minus 30 there, which would be a very dramatic reversal as wins. It looks like it's an outlier though. But yeah, very significant developments, very dramatic forecast here, particularly that GFS midnight run. So we'll wait and see what happens, but increasingly it looks like we may well be getting a sudden stratospheric warming next week. We are late on in the winter now, so this is likely to have more impacts if it does impact anything. Not all sudden stratospheric warming have an impact, remember. Some of them, you know, never really correctly propagate down to the troposphere and don't have any impacts. But if this does have impacts, it's more likely to be in the earlier part of the spring now, I think, through March, possibly even into April. So it's going to be one to watch over the next few days, of course, see whether the sudden stratospheric warming occurs, and then we'll be watching out, 2-3 weeks down the line, see if we get a tropospheric response. More as the week goes on. Central temperature is currently sitting at 7.4, which is 3.5 degrees above average. That's provisional to yesterday, to the 5th of February. That's going to come down more over the next few days. We have got more frosty nights to come. Put teeth in gap. We've got more frosty nights to come, and that will carry on reducing over the coming days until the end of the week, and then it will probably start ticking up again. Now, these are GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. So the red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Birmingham. We're starting off significantly above average with both upper air temperatures at the moment. Of course, we've got inversion going on, which means that it's colder on the surface, but it is aloft, which explains why we're getting overnight frost. But by day, temperatures are probably about average, but nowhere near as warm as you'd expect, given the upper air temperatures there. Little bit of a drop in the upper air temperatures towards the end of the week, and then they pick up again as we get through into next week. This warmer period through next week may actually see the warmth being realised down on the surface. It will depend on the exact position of the high pressure, but if we get enough of a southwesterly flow, although we might have a lot of cloud, we might see our temperatures lifting up. And next week, we might get a little burst of spring type temperatures, actually, with temperature going into the low to mid-teens Celsius. It's a possibility. Anyway, as I say, it will depend on the position of the high pressure. Northern areas will continue to be more likely to be very mild or spring-like compared to the south, where we may still keep the inversion going and have more overnight frosts and whatnot. We'll know more a little bit later on in the week, I think. As going into the third week of February, generally saying quite mild. That is a very mild ensemble graph for Birmingham, actually, over the next week, certainly from an upper air temperature perspective. Precipitation-wise, there's lots of dry weather over the next week. Perhaps turning a little bit more unsettled into the third week of February. That's a long way off. It's uncertain. It's in the unreliable time frame. So I think we just wait and see about that. Temperature anomalies on the 6th to 14th February can be mild average in central and northern parts of the country, but still a little bit colder than average down in the south. That's primarily down to overnight frost, and the precipitation anomaly from the 6th to 14th February going to be drier than normal. The latest wind flow map from earthnoschool.net shows that we're bringing southwesterly winds to the north and west, mild air off the Atlantic, of course. Meanwhile, further south under an area of high pressure, though winds are light and it is colder on the surface, and it is aloft with sharp overnight frosts across many parts of England and Wales. This is your latest UK Met Euro run for midnight on Thursday. Mild in the north. Down the south is still under that area of high pressure, so frost risk could continue then Into Friday and the weekend, high pressure gradually building up from the south. So the position of this high pressure means that for England and Wales, the inversion probably reduces for a while, but it could come back later on in the weekend, with the north and west tending to be bathed in those very mild southwesterly winds. So it just depends, what the exact parameters are like under this area of high pressure. Certainly, even from an upper temperature perspective, all areas will be very, very mild, but down on the surface, under that area of high pressure, it just depends whether we're getting frost and fog night and morning for England and Wales, which would limit the temperatures. Meanwhile, Scotland and Northern Ireland does look very mild with those southwesterlies. Icon looks like that. So once again, we've got high pressure building up from the south over the weekend. So down in the south and southeast, that might keep things a little bit cooler there with overnight frost and fog. Further north and west, excuse me, yes, we keep wind in from the southwest, so generally very mild. By the time we get through to this time next week, high pressure beginning to weaken, with low pressure coming in off Atlantic, that brings a very mild southwesterly push to all areas, and probably some rain in the north and the west. The GFS midnight run once more has that area of high pressure in control at the end of the week and into the weekend. So for the north and for the west, yes, it could be mild with winds in from the southwest. For the south and the east, close to the area of high pressure, it could be very mild, especially by day, but there is also a risk that there might be an inversion going on with overnight frost, fog, and that sort of thing. That carries on up toward day 10. The high pressure gradually easing away to the east with winds pushing up from a southwesterly direction. So, probably turning milder there in all areas, or it is very mild in all areas by day 10. As we get into the extending range, the ridge tries to get going around Iceland. That tends to bring down some colder air from the north, so probably turning colder again with overnight frost and fog after the middle part of February. And generally quite an anticyclonic scenario, right way up to 22nd of February is where we get to. Generally a lot of high pressure still there across the country, keeping this dry February going. GFS 6Z is all much of a muchness, really, as we get into the weekend with this area of high pressure. That's a little bit further south or so, but so there is more chance with the GFS 6Z, but it could be very mild even into the south and into the southeast, actually, with that. As we move on towards day 10, we pull up this very mild southerly southwesterly, so this could get temperature into a low mid-teens Celsius. There will be some rain threatening to the north and west, but I think the GFS 6Z has quite a taste of spring about it as we go into the middle part of February. Eventually turns very unsettled as you get 22nd of February, wet and windy weather coming in off the Atlantic. If you enjoyed the video, please can you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. And why not drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Thank you so very much. As I say, we put on around 9 or 10 subscribers to get 15.5k. We are very, very close to 15.5k now. So please give us a sub. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing this to us. Right, GM, again, with low pressure to the north on Thursday, high pressure to the south, and that high pressure trying to build up from the south as we go through the weekend. Very mild in the north and west, definitely. Could be a little bit colder by night anyway, with some frost and fog in the south, in the southeast. Then the GM turns more unsettled than the other models, so as we get to days 8, 9, 10, we're going to like wet, windy, Atlantic-driven type weather. And then the ECM at WF finally looks like that, so it's all much of a much. It's a very quiet outlook at the end of the week and into the weekend. Again, I think the ECM could be a little bit milder in southern and eastern areas compared to some of the other model output over the weekend. But north and west looking very mild and, dare I say it, quite spring-like. That looks probably spring-like there for Valentine's Day, 14th of February, with a proper southwesterly push then. And the southwesters continue all the way up towards day 10. So the ECM looks properly spring-like, especially for the north and west between around days 5 and 10. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from ToMetShow.com. There will be a lot of dry weather to come over the next week to 10 days, to be honest. Very little in way of rain all the way up to day 10. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10. Gets us to the 16th of February from the Icelandic Met Office. 14 members of the ECM ensembles have high pressure to our south and east. Low pressure is away to the north and west. Jet stream pushed northwards, and we're bringing up very mild, if not, spring-like temperatures from the south and from the southwest. 12 have lower pressure to the north, high pressure a bit further south, so that's a bit more Atlantic driven. Excuse me, a little bit more wet and windy. 11 with high pressure right over top of the coast, that could bring a little bit of frost and fog. 8 looking very unsettled, deep low pressure in from off the Atlantic. And 6 with the high pressure out in middle of the Atlantic, low pressure to our northeast, that could bring the wind in from more of a northwesterly direction. Unsettled, a little bit colder with those 6. And then in 2 weeks' time, this is the option that we've got. Just one gets the 21st of February. 51 out of 51 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure to the south and southwest, low pressure to west and northwest. The winds in from a mild west-southwest direction, and the high pressure to the south should bring a lot of dry weather with it. CFS finally, these are 500 millibar height and orange broken down into week periods. The first week period will take us from the 6th to the 12th of February, becoming week dominated by high pressure, so there's going to be lots of dry weather to come. Week 2 will be the 13th to the 19th of February. Low pressure then starts to break through. A little bit different to what the shorter range models have shown, which are more anticyclonic than this. The CFS wants to break low pressure through, turn things unsettled, would still be mild though. Week 3 will be the 20th to 26th of February with low pressure in off the Atlantic. That's looking rather mild, wet and windy. And then week 4 is going to be the 27th of February, 5th of March. Low pressure still over and to west coast, so still unsettled. Notice it is starting to build up some blocking around Greenland. Could that be the first signs of a tropospheric response to the sudden stratospheric warming? Possibly. But it's 4 weeks away, so we can't really, say too much about that. I don't think. We'll wait and see. Right, we're done. If you enjoyed the video, then please can you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Why not drop a comment? Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Another 9 subscribers gets 15.5k. We're so close, 15.5k now. So please give us a sub. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing this. We're going to be back later on live streaming. So we're going to live stream Ensembles Watch. We'll have a look at the 12 there. Operation runs. We'll bring you update all of the latest stratospheric developments. There should be a 42-day update from ECMWF while we're live streaming between 8 and 8:30 tonight. So we'll bring you update with that and, the stratospheric forecast from ECMWF. And we'll have some long range as well. So it's going to be an epic live stream that'll be coming up from 8 o'clock. Tomorrow at 6 a.m. upload, we'll have the EC 30-day look ahead for the UK and Europe 2 and a 10 to 14 day. Keep checking back to the channel for more. For this one, though, that's all for now. And thanks so much.